What's up, guys? Welcome to the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. Today is February 14th, and it is currently almost 2 p.m. We have a guest today. This is going to be a pretty cool episode. Take it over to the saltwater a little bit, get into talking about boats. I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, Louis.
Yeah, so I'm Louis Macuch. I own Macuch Craft, so we build custom aluminum flats boats. Started off in August, been going strong since then. We've got one model, working on the second model. I went to college at University of Georgia and got a mechanical engineering degree there, which has helped a lot with the actual boat design, and then thinking about mechanics and strength of materials and that stuff that I apply all my engineering knowledge to building my skiffs, that type of thing. We're based in Augusta, Georgia, which is pretty close proximity to pretty much everywhere on the coast of South Carolina, the coast of Georgia. I mean, Florida, kind of a drive, but you know, I love driving, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, that's kind of a little rundown on Macuch Craft.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know you went to University of Georgia.
Yeah, I went to Georgia Southern first because I didn't like to try too hard. I like to party and joined a fraternity down there, and the whole deal. Georgia Southern was a blast,
Oh, yeah.
absolute blast. Things started changing, so I think I left around 2015 or 16. Things got real strict down there. All the bars shut down. I kind of got out while the going was good. Went to UGA, didn't reaffiliate. I was an SAE, but didn't reaffiliate, and just made contacts in all the fraternities, and as long as I wasn't affiliated with one, I could go to most of the parties if I knew somebody. That was the way to do it, man. As long as you're cool and you know people, just you're in every fraternity almost. You just don't have to
Yeah.
pay the dues. But I know there's some people listening to this that probably hate to hear that, but I was that guy.
Dude, I was too. But dude, my little sister goes to UGA. I'm actually down in Athens a pretty good amount.
Yeah, it's hard to leave, dude. That place
Dude, it
is
is.
nuts. I have
Last
some
time we
crazy
were there,
stories from down there.
dog, I got a crazy one from last time we were there that I will tell off camera because it was wild.
If you don't have a good story anytime you're there, I mean, did you really even go? You know?
Right, dude, it's crazy. Maverick, sorry, my dog is bugging me. But dude, yeah, we were there for the Georgia Tech game, and
That's a good one.
dude, yeah, it was a blast. I love Athens. I actually have to go back in May, and I hope it's not anything like it was the last visit we were there, or my sister and my mom is gonna kill me. So, but let's get into the podcast quick. What originally put the idea to put build your own skiff into your head?
Um, it's a long story. I'll give you the short and sweet of it. So I started off doing, well, let me start a little bit earlier. So in high school, I was 13, 14. I was working in a hot rod shop. Fuller's Hot Rods. He was the apprentice to Chip Foose. I was doing a lot of sweeping, a lot of cleaning, learning the trade here and there, learning how to weld, learning how to machine, how to shape metal. We did a lot of shaping metal, shrinking and stretching using power hammers, bead rollers, that type of stuff, like the old school methods. That how they used to build planes in World War I and World War II. Those types of machines, big power hammers, shrinkers, stretchers, all types of stuff. So I did a little bit of that. I kept up with those contacts. So when the foreman of that shop left and started his own shop, Metal Union Speed Shop, I went and worked there pretty much spring break, summer break, every weekend from college. UGA wasn't too far away. When I was in Southern, I'd make the drive, but when I was at UGA, it's like 45-minute drive to North Atlanta, but maybe an hour. But kept up with that. I started, I got real good at metal shaping, real good at metalworking, kind of set me down this path. We started doing aluminum jet boats because we saw the people up in Canada. We were like, they're building these little fucking boats that we could do in America. And you'd
Yeah,
skip the import taxes. You'd skip the freight, we could deliver them anywhere in the Southeast, right? There's a lot of waterways down here. Louisiana is really cool. We sold a boat to some people in Louisiana. We sold a lot to people in Florida. Georgia's got really great waterways too, but a lot of times there's, if you've been in the waters in Georgia or the swamp areas, there's broken off trees right below the water.
Oh yeah.
There's impassable channels that nothing can get through. But jet boats, you got a 1/4 inch thick hull, you've got hull reinforcement, you've got UHMW on the underside of the boats, 1/2 inch thick piece of, what I say to people who don't know what it is, it's a 1/2 inch thick cutting board that's bolted to the bottom of the boat. So the whole entire boat is reinforced to the nines, and you can just take that thing and ram it through the swamp. You hardly even need water. But
Dude,
I was building those. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
when I was living down in Florida, you saw them everywhere, dude.
Yeah, they're so
Like
much
dude,
fun.
the airboats, dude. It's crazy. I used to fish a
Yeah,
place called the what was it, Lake Henderson in not in Crystal River. It was in that county, and you pull up, they had this bar, dude, and it's just all sorts of drunk dudes on an airboat, and it was freaking awesome to watch because they
that was
just
yeah, that's the
plow into
yeah,
shit.
that's the crowd for those types of boats. But those are different. Those are airboats. We were doing jet boats, so we're taking the insides of jet skis out, doing either a custom welded intake or a cast intake that you buy from RSR or like company, Stomp Grade, everything. Insides of a jet ski motor, redo the cooling system, mount the motor in there, align the drive shaft, all that type of stuff. And then, you got a custom boat, right?
Right,
But what we realized was that to do that, to take a jet ski, first you got to buy a jet ski, right? You can't just, or we couldn't just buy the motor and the GP or the motor and the actual display and the key switch are keyed to each other. So you kind of had to buy a package. Then you had to have the pump and the impeller and all that stuff with it. To do that, it's the best thing that we found to do is just buy a jet ski. But you buy a working jet ski for $20,000, $25,000 if you want a newer one with a couple, not more than 30 hours on it, and then you cut it up. You take a
right.
fucking chainsaw to it, and or you find a wrecked one with a hole in the hull, and then you get it for a steal. But that's hard to find, right? In Florida, it's a good trade because there's a lot of rental companies down there. But in Georgia, it was tough to come by those. But we snatched them up when we could. But the price point there, I mean, you're starting out 25,000, right?
Right.
It's huge. That's a lot of money, and you haven't even started building the boat. To build the boat, you've got $25,000 in purchase parts, and then you're gonna want to make some money, maybe 15,000 for your labor, maybe closer to 10. Now you're talking over 50,000, $60,000 boat, and it's still a 13-foot boat. It's still a tiny
Right.
boat. What can you do in it, right? You can just go fast and drink and have a good time, which I love,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Everybody
that's a
does.
bad thing, but if you're spending 60K on a boat, I mean, you got to be able to fish on it. I mean, you
Right.
can fish on a
Exactly.
jet boat, but it's just not set up for like your average fisherman. It's set up for racing pretty much.
Right.
Um, and they beat you to death, man. They're so violent and fast. You'll go from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, do 60-mile-an-hour 360s, skip across the water like a rock, keep on going. By the end of the day, you can't even walk back to your car.
Yeah.
So, so now we're looking for a young man that wants one of those that has 60,000 cash. You don't have too many of those young people around, right?
Right. Right.
Old people have the money, they have the savings, they have the investments, they have this, that, and the other. They don't want a jet boat because they've already had their fun when they were younger, right? Their
Right.
their knees are bad, their backs are bad. If they get in a jet boat, they're just not getting out.
Right. They just want to sit
So
their ass in a pawpaw chair on the front deck like a
yeah,
bass tracker.
yeah. Nothing against old people. You're just, the state of
Right.
your body, the how much fun I'm having now. I'm going to be one of those people eventually, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be the guy who does not want to do the off-roading, does not want to do the jet boat stuff, but because I know the next morning I won't be able to walk. But just I realized that price point was it was just too high, right? It's not easy to make a margin. It's not easy to sell those boats. And I was like, my brother, he lives in Charleston. He loves fishing. He had a 27-foot Pursuit.
Oh damn.
It's kind of like maybe it was a little bit smaller. I think it was a 23, but it's kind of it's a T-top center console, not really a flats boat. It was too big for him, so he sold it, right? It
Right.
was the boat that all the people would call him. and they want to get drunk and get ferried out to the sandbar.
Yeah.
And he was just like, screw this. I want a smaller boat. I want to be fishing with like me and a buddy or two buddies. I want to be just out there and nobody can reach me. Right.
Right.
So I was like, dude, I could build this. Um, and I'd already started a flats boat design because I figured in my head, I'm like, what is a outboard motor? A nice 70 horsepower Yamaha is like 12 grand. That's
Right.
half the price of the initial investment for a jet boat. So I was like, it's starting to make sense. Right. And then what else do you need? A bilge pump, switch panel, helm. You could do cable helm, tilt helm, hydraulic helm, whatever, maybe a GPS unit. You don't need it, but you could have it. And, nav lights. That's it.
Right.
That's not a lot. So I was like, okay, so now we're talking. I could sell them for less money, probably have a larger market, and have more fun because now I can go fishing and hanging out and drinking and just doing the
The
fun
good
stuff,
shit.
right?
Yeah.
In the jet boat, you just get pulled over every day. Like you get arrested if you're drunk. You will. That's it.
Oh
I
yeah.
got so many tickets on every fucking body of water in Georgia and South Carolina. I've got a ticket on every one of them. Just don't go back.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever go up to Lanier?
Lanier, that is a death trap, but
Dude, I
I took a
hate
jet boat up
Lanier.
there once, had a great time.
Lanier sucks. We used to bring my bass boat up there sometimes. And dude, like I'd put the boat in the water and I'd look out, I'd be like, dude, we should not have come to Lanier. This place
Well, it
is
was real
packed.
rough,
Dude, it was
full of
rough.
boats, yeah.
Dude, full
So
boats. And I was like,
you had to really know somebody that lived in one of the side tributaries
right.
away from the main lake is the scary lake.
Yeah, dude, Lanier's huge, but what was the hardest or least favorite part of the boat to build, you
Um,
think?
that's a really good question. So when I feel like I could talk for hours about this,
Dude,
but
you can. Go for it.
I, I'm going to start it off. So when you design a boat, there's a lot of different nuances to actually designing a boat. So what I do is I surface model it in the computer. So I'm designing they're infinitely thin surfaces. They're strung together from 3D curves that I build using 2D curves. Um, I don't think I need to go into detail about that, but there's thin surfaces, right? You need to make sure those surfaces are developable, which means you got to lay these curved surfaces flat, right? They're curved in space. You've got to give them thickness. Then you've got to, assign your bends and how many bends you have and your radiuses for your bends and that type of stuff. Then you have to flatten them, which is what they call developable. And if you don't know how to do proper design, you're going to have surfaces that are convoluted. You're going to have surfaces that are inverted. You might have twist in a panel, and if you're talking a 3/16 thick hull, right, and you've got to form it. So you got two hull pieces. We weld them in the center, and then you've got to form up the bow like that. You got to bring these two ears up and form it and weld it in the center. If you've got twist in that, now you're talking. You've got to muscle that fucker to be touching each other so you can weld it, right? So you're
Right.
talking ratchet straps, you're talking C clamps, all types of stuff to just get it in place. So the initial hard part is actually figuring out how to do it, how to do it properly, learning from your mistakes. Because I never started out doing anything right. Right, I've never done anything right, but I've done it wrong a bunch, and I know what not to do now. That's what I always tell people. People are like, "How do you do this?" And I say, "Just fuck up. Just get on YouTube, start doing something, fuck up, and learn from it. Right? It's easy if you just keep trying." But I did a few things wrong, learned from it. The first few jet boats, that they were tough to put together. We got them together, but it just wasn't ideal, right? So then I got to looking at the CAD. I got to doing curvature analysis, whisker plots of different, the different portions of the hull, that type of stuff, just to see how it's curving in space and how it actually is formed. And from my knowledge of building the previous jet boats, I realized like, oh, that's a little bit too much curve to put in this panel because that's going to suck, right? I'm going to need two or three
Right.
people to help me do that. So that was initially the hard part. Once you get that done and get the parts cut, and I did all the cutting and forming of the parts myself. So it's pretty much an all in-house operation, which is crazy. Nobody does CAD design, cutting, forming, welding, fabricating, rigging, painting, all this stuff in house, right? But I have so many
Right.
strategic partnerships with a lot of people in this area that I can pretty much do it all locally, right? Or
All right.
mostly in-house. But that was the initial hard part. So the second hardest part is building it correctly. So when you build the boat, it's not it's not it's not enough to just put it on a table and start welding it. Aluminum, when you weld it, it moves like a son of a bitch. You'll be welding in one corner, and if you stay on that corner of the boat, guess what? Now the boat's twisted, right? Because you've shrunk that one area. It shrunk a lot, and you've twisted a boat. And now what are you going to do? You can't untwist it. You cut it out, you redo it. You still might have some warp in the panel, but you got to know that type of stuff. I've read countless books on actual like aluminum boat fabrication because this isn't a new industry. People have been doing this for years. The only difference is what I'm doing is a lot thinner gauge than most people ship build with. Right? It's a 1/8 inch, 3/16, 1/4 inch max. Um, so when my panels move, they move a lot. So I have to be a lot carefuler with the heat input. So what I've done to actually mitigate that is, can I share my screen real quick? I'll show you
Yeah,
a little
go
bit of.
for it. Here, I can do, let's see. Yeah, share it. Does it give you
You
the
got it.
option to screen share on the
Yeah.
bottom? All right, cool. Go for
Yeah.
it.
So here's my. Are you seeing this
Oh, yeah. Yep. I looked at this earlier.
website? So this is my website that it's pretty new. You know, we started in August. We started building flats boats in August. Let me get that straight. We've been doing this for 7 years, but flats boats started in August, right? And Macuch Craft started in August because I was like, let's make a business out of this. So
Right.
7 years of experience, 6 months flats boats, years of fishing experience, all types of stuff. Been on plenty of boats. But anyway, this started in August. This is my breaking the mold. So this is kind of a homage to typical archetypal skiff design, right? It's always been fiberglass. It's been a certain way. It's like taboo to do anything different, apparently. But this is me just trying to break that mold, right? And the mold I'm talking about is the fiberglass mold that they actually build the fiberglass boats in, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's clever as hell.
but back to what I was talking about. So this is kind of what the next step is. So this is a fixture I build. This is my rotisserie fixture. And what this does is it allows me to rotate this thing 360 degrees. These, I guess I'll call them just fixture plates right here, set the alignment of my hull plates. So what I'll
Okay.
do is I'll lay these two hull plates in there and I'll actually weld these plates to this fixture, which perfectly sets per CAD, per computer aided design, how I designed it, sets it exactly where it should be, right? Then when you get to doing your chines, these are the chine tips. These portions back here are actually bent into the hull plates just to reduce welding, but these front pieces are welded in. This, you see, it actually sets the position of that. And then you've got a little dog ear up here that gives you a little bit of reference to how this actual gunnel needs to be positioned, right? So that is one element of it. And like I said, if you're welding this on a table, you got to be so careful. You got to jump around. You got to start in the middle and move out. You got to back step when you're welding, all types of stuff. But if you've got it fixtured pretty well like this, as you go, when the boat becomes complete and you weld on the top side details, like here it's just tacked. But when you get these top pieces on, the boat becomes a box. And you've triangulated your forces so much that you put it all together, you pop it off the fixture, it's exactly how it was on the fixture, right? Even if you did incorporate some internal stress into it by welding some portion of it, this whole shape keeps it together. It keeps it into the actual boat shape. Like when you pop it off, it's not going to twist. But as you can see here, this is a little bit of a preview of actually how that works. It's just I worked in a couple body shops in my hot rod years, just because I don't know why. I just like to work and I love to learn stuff, and body shops are cool. But this is what they did for cars, right? If you have a chassis or if you have the body of a car and you need to underbody coat it and you need to paint the roof, they don't get up on ladders, right?
All right.
They do sometimes, but sometimes they'll take this car and actually rotate it, rotisserie. And I worked in body shops that did like pinstriping and custom candy paint and this, that, and the other. So it was a lot of work on the hoods and on the doors and on the roofs and that type of stuff. So getting that roof rotated 180 degrees or 90 degrees, sorry, you don't want the car on top of you, but 90 degrees so you can actually face it while you're doing your pinstriping work. Um, that was ideal. So this is a little bit of a reference to that. It has a hydraulic jack here that lifts and lowers it so I can get a different height. It has different pinning locations here for, I think these are 5-10 degree increments of 360 degrees. This is an Acme threaded rod. So this portion here, you can actually lift and lower it because as you build the boat, your center of gravity is going to be changing. Um, so you really just want to be able to adjust it so that it's effortless to rotate, right? So if you
Right.
adjust the center of gravity to wherever it's changing in the boat, because as you add more panels, the center of gravity is rising. If you pulled this pen out, the boat would just want to flip over and flop on its face. But if you change the CG, if you change the rotation point to match that center of gravity of the boat, you're effortless rotating the whole time. And when you're doing it one person, I can do it by myself. And I often,
That's pretty cool.
sorry, and I oftentimes just do this all by myself. But I get help when I need it. I'm not an idiot. I don't want to try to do something that's going to hurt me. But yeah, just makes it so much easier, right? Because now I can position any of these welds. I can, back here I was standing up next to the boat to weld this top seam. How would you do that if the boat was on a table? You'd climb on
Right.
the boat and weld it, right? That's
Right.
easy to do. You can do that, but you could also just build a rotisserie. So back to the question, the next hardest thing that I did was actually do this prep work, do this work on the backside, design, build the rotisserie so that because I anticipated wanting to be able to do this, I wanted to be able to make boats that were super repeatable, every single one exactly the same, unless a customer wanted a custom option like a live well like this, or a different size center console, whatever. I wanted to be able to repeat my work every single time exactly the same way because then I don't have to guess. I just go for it, right? I just
Right.
weld, I just build. Um, there's some more pictures in here, so I wish I had. Let's do. Are you still seeing my screen? Oh, you're
Yeah, I
seeing
can
the
still see it.
site. Let me see if I can change it. Let's go to
Dude, the ass end of that boat is so sick, dude.
yeah with the
I've
curve. That was me
dude,
trying to be a little different.
it's so sweet. Yeah, it's
It's sexy, isn't it?
unbelievable, dude.
I'll have to show you a picture I took last weekend. It just looks beautiful. Let me show you a photo that I posted to the Microskiff website. I had a little, I kind of lost interest in actually posting to it. I should get back to it, but
I haven't
I
really
had a little
seen many
blurb on
people
here.
posting on there anymore.
Yeah, I
But
got a little bit of publicity, but
yeah,
I kind of did a little, it was almost like a blog of how I did stuff. So here's the design. This was me initially kind of figuring things out. A little bit changed since then. Here's a picture of my rotisserie in the computer.
that thing's
You
sweet,
can see the
dude.
hydraulic jack, the different locating points, the Acme threaded rod. This beam right here is bolt on. So if I wanted to put a longer beam in there and build a longer boat, this rotisserie is built heavy duty enough to do that. So I'm planning to do a 20-foot boat pretty soon, but I'm also doing a 16.
I saw that you're doing a tiller model.
Yeah, this one's gonna be fun, man. We're probably
That
gonna
thing's
put
gonna be
mud
sick,
motor on it.
dude. That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah. Here's a little bit of a rotation of the actual fixture, so you can see I can flip it fully 180. But that's not what I wanted to show you. So I wanted to show you kind of my thought process in doing this. So you see how at this point in the boat, I'm adding these bulkheads here.
Yeah.
These are bolt on, so these bolt into these holes for the floor, which are laser cut into the stringers. So they're positioned pretty damn close to where they need to be, right? Laser tolerance is 4,000ths. Not saying the bend tolerance is close to that, but it's pretty darn close to center of the boat as long as I weld these center. Um, so these little angle pieces right here match the angle of the gunnel. So if you look at that, that's your forward bulkhead. If you come back here, you've got your rear bulkhead, and you see these little keys right here. These are little dog ears.
Uh
That
huh.
helps me position my gunnels. As long as my gunnels key into that dog ear and match the angle of this side, then I know it's pretty close to right. So as I'm welding this and I'm locking it down, as long as I have that close or tacked on there, then I know I'm going to be in the right spot. Um, so you can see a different view here.
Yeah.
You got to get those angles tacked up. And I think before I welded this is just set in there tacked. I tacked them to this, and I just locked them in place. And then I went to welding them. This stuff moves so much. So we're still refining the process, to be honest. It's such a long panel and long weld seam. Recently we've just been trying to not even tack it, to kind of just position it and weld it as you go with me and my buddy. But if you have those dog ears locked in, you're pretty darn close to where you need to be. And as long as you're pushed up against that angle, you're right where you want to be, right? You're not too far in, you're not too far out. But yeah, that's it. So the fixture gives me some reassurance that I'm doing things right. So the rotisserie, but then the design is actually intelligent as well. The design is idiot proof for the most part. Um, that's totally untrue. It's not idiot proof. You could definitely screw this up, but it's very close to foolproof, right?
Right.
It kind of self fixtures itself. So as you're going through, if the parts fit together, you're good, right? And they'll self fixture themselves. You've got slot and tabs where you need them. You've got, different, these gussets go all the way across and they also touch the gunnel. So you've got positional, you can position this centered by just having the gunnels positioned centered. But yeah, I thought I need to make this as easy as I can for myself. So that's kind of what I did, man. I just had a really good time. This is another cool thing that most people don't do that I thought was kind of cool. Let me see. So these are actually rub rail pieces that are made out of 1/8 inch angle.
Uh-huh.
And I use a shrinker stretcher, which is pictured right here. Nothing fancy, just a little stomp stretcher. And I actually shrink them to match my curve. So
Oh, that's pretty
if
cool.
you, yeah, isn't it? I didn't
That's
think I'd be able to
awesome.
shrink. I didn't think I'd be able to shrink 1/8, but I was able to. But
Holy crap.
and the front piece here is actually shrunk completely. So if you pop this off the boat, it would still be in that shape. That would be the shape it stays in. I might have a
Damn.
picture of that, but yeah. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's a really strong addition. It kind of gives you a little. It ties off the edge. It makes it look really clean when you actually have the boat. When you actually have a picture of the boat. Um, when the boat's actually finished, it really has a clean edge. It looks like the edge of like a, I don't know. It looks like a nice finished edge, right? It's not just a rub rail piece
Yeah, so
slapped
just
on there. It's not just a ground weld seam. It's like a cap. It's like the wrapping, external wrapping. It's like the bow on the present, I guess. I don't know.
right.
You get what I'm saying. But
Yeah. It's cherry on top.
yeah, it just makes it look so much more
Yeah,
clean,
dude,
man.
it
But
does. It looks super clean. It's like,
yeah,
dude, you
and
see a lot of those aluminum boats that you see literally, like, uh you look at like a tracker. They just got a rubber rail
yeah,
piece slapped on there.
well,
But
jackers are great boats, but
yeah,
they're
they are.
designed to be affordable and pretty much fit anybody's you know whatever they fish. Do.
Right. But
But yeah, so this is the picture I wanted to show you. You were talking about how sexy it looks. Look at that
dude, yeah.
fucking thing.
It looks
How it tapers to the
unbelievable,
water
dude.
line.
It's so sick, dude. I was looking at a picture of one of them, dude, and I was like, that is the fucking sickest flats boat I have ever seen. With that,
Yeah,
dude,
I'm
that
glad you
that
think so, dude.
that ass end is beautiful, dude. I haven't seen, like, you hardly see a flats boat with the back end like that, with the float pods already in and all that stuff. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's So I mean I think that's another question you want to ask me on your little outline you sent me. But just having those curves, right? I've seen so many aluminum boats, like you said, the tracker. It's a great boat, great boat. Not saying anything bad about it, but it is a boat, right? There's nothing crazy special about it. It looks like a lot of other boats. Great
Right.
boat. Not saying anything bad about trackers. Love trackers. I don't want to piss anybody off, but there's no aesthetic styling to it. Like there's nothing outlandishly cool, right? What I was
Right.
doing is I've been working with metal for so long. I know what it does. I know how to do it. Why not put some curve to it? Why not make this shit sexy? Because you don't see that.
Right.
You don't
You
see, or
don't.
you don't see organic curvature in aluminum stuff. You see boat. and
Right.
boat looks like boat, right?
Exactly. It's like
So yeah.
you could do, yeah. That's pretty sweet. But what made you choose aluminum over fiberglass?
Um. Well, I mean, I don't know how to work with fiberglass. Honestly, that was the choice deciding factor there. If I was a fiberglass guy, fuck yeah, I'd do a fiberglass one. But aluminum, I can explain to you the benefits of aluminum. You know, there's benefits to fiberglass. There's, in my opinion, there's more benefits to aluminum. Some of them are strength to weight ratio. So per weight per pound, you're going to be stronger with aluminum. That takes into part you need to support aluminum properly. So what we do is we'll do box stringers, which I showed you pictures of, big 3/16 box stringers that go full length. We'll do a 3-inch keel strip, which I don't think I pointed out, but it's basically a strip that runs the entire keel, and we weld that into the keel. The first 1/3 of the boat, we fully weld everything. The rest of the boat, we stitch weld it. The first 1/3 of the boat's where you're going to be taking your impacts, so we fully weld that. But that design needs to be incorporated into your whole design to be stronger, right? So
Right.
now we're talking per pound, you're stronger than aluminum as long as you designed it to be strong. You can't just do a hole with no support and just think it's going to be strong. It will be strong until you hit a tree, and then it'll fucking concave, and yeah, you're fucked. But
Right.
so that's one reason. Aluminum, it doesn't crack, so that
Mm.
means it's easier to repair. You might get a dent. You could get a weld crack. You could, not a huge deal, right? Beat it out, weld it back. A fiberglass, you need a specialized guy to repair that,
Oh yeah.
depending on the level of severity. And then, you've got gel coat on top of that. I'm not an expert in gel coat, but I think that also needs special skills to actually repair that, correct?
Oh yeah, it
So,
does. I've had to
so
have it done on my last boat multiple times.
yeah, you can't just do it in your driveway. But
Right.
what we what we do is we people are concerned about corrosion. That's a real big thing with aluminum boats. You see bass boats in the water for 25 years. Do they look corroded? Some places, yes, but also they haven't been taken care of. Nobody takes care of a boat for 25 years straight, right?
Right.
Nobody does. You might take care of it for the first year and a half, and then you sell it, and the second guy doesn't give a fuck about it, and then the
Right.
third guy just also doesn't give a fuck, right? So they get abused over this 25-year span. So yes, you will get corrosion because that's what metal does, right? It does
Right.
that. It does that. It gets a bad rap for that. But if what we do is we sandblast the entire boat, inside, outside, underneath the panels, all of the panels. So if you saw in my actual pictures I was showing, those panels I bolt in, the fixture, the front bulkhead, the rear bulkhead, those are all bolt in, right? And there's another reason for that besides just fixturing the gunnels. The second reason for that is those panels are removable so that a man can get up in there and paint on the underside of the decks or inside the hatches. Because if you're painting through a hatch, right, what can you spray? Nothing. You can't see shit.
Nothing. Yeah, you can't see a
But
damn
if you
thing.
can, yeah, you can't see shit. But if you can climb into a boat and get in there and get under it, now you can see it. And as you're painting, you'll paint front, you'll paint rear, then you'll get out of the boat and you'll paint the inside and the interior. So what we do is we sandblast everything. It's important to prep the aluminum surface. Aluminum, you either need to acid wash it, which is great, or sandblast it, or do both, which is even better. But you need to open up the pores of the aluminum. You need to rough up the surface so that the paint will stick. So then after we do that, we send it to a powder coater in Atlanta. Amazing guy. He's been doing work for me for years, but he's going to powder coat the entire boat. He's got a 17 or 18-foot oven. Boat barely fits in there, but he powder coats the insides and outsides of these hatches. And the cool thing about powder coat, if you're not familiar with that, it's almost like a magnetized particle in the air, right? You negatively charge the boat, you positively charge the particle, or maybe it's vice versa. But those particles are attracted to the metal surfaces because there's a electric field in it. And if you spray inside of a hatch, that dust, the powder you spray in there is going to turn around and it's going to go up and get underneath all these hatches and all these crevices. And you spray inside of a hole, it's going to get in there and it's going to magnetize to all the surfaces, right? So now you're already
Right.
talking better coverage than paint because it does it by itself. It does it almost without, I mean, it's magnetized to the metal. If any exposed metal, it's going to suck it up, right?
Right.
So there's two things we do there that are better. You remove the hatches. You can paint inside from underneath the decks. You can powder coating just gets magnetized everything. We sandblast the entire hull. You can take a hammer to this paint and you're not going to chip it. I've actually done it. So we used to powder coat all of our jet boat hulls and beat the fuck out of these things, but you dent them. You dent the shit out of it, but the paint would just be scuffed. It's
Yeah,
the craziest thing.
that's
You
wild.
got to prep it. Yeah, because powder coat gets a bad rap too, because big pontoon companies, they powder coat their pontoons and they look great at the factory, right? But the
Right.
minute you hit something or the minute you get it over a year, it's just going to peel off because they don't prep the tunes. They just paint them.
Yeah, it's
If
paint
they
on there.
sandblasted them, they'd last forever. But they get a terrible rap for that because once you get a flaking coat of powder coat, it's just going to peel off like a sheet. So that's I forget what you asked me. Why did I choose a fiberglass, or why did I choose an aluminum skiff over fiberglass? And I
Right.
totally went off on a tangent.
Nah,
But I
don't worry
think
about it, dude. It's perfect.
just I hinted at the strength to weight ratio, the ability to repair it. That was, you can do it. You can get your buddy who knows how to weld decent. They can repair it. You could use JB Weld if you want to. If you scratch the paint, put some freaking house paint on it. Who cares? The corrosion, I hinted at that because that is a big deterrent for most people. But with the proper prep, with the proper painting, with the proper sealing of the surface, like we do with powder coating, you don't have to worry about it. Nobody seals. Nobody seals in their bilge. Nobody seals under their hatches. Nobody paints anything but the exterior of the boat for the most part, right?
Right.
We do. We paint inside the bilge, every open surface, every fucking surface that water's ever going to touch, ever. We paint. And
You
the
paint it.
reason for that is I don't want anyone calling me back unless they want another boat or they want to tell me exactly how good this boat is, right? I don't want a
Right.
warranty claim that this shit's just corroding. And like, that's crazy. Why would
Yeah,
I bother? Why would I do that? I got to do it right the first time, not have to redo
exactly.
it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
But
man.
what do you think your flagship skiff companies are missing on their boats that you would like to put on or build into your skiff?
You kind of broke up there, but I think you asked me what are flagship companies missing on their skiffs that I think would be a good thing to have.
Yo.
I don't think they're missing anything. What they lack is the ability to customize everything. So aluminum and me doing my own in-house CAD design means I can do whatever you want. I can do the tube work. I can do, I can do different hatches. I can do a live well. I can do a T-top. I can do a center console. I can do a grab rail. I can do a side console. I can do a modular center console. I can do a tiller. I can do whatever you want, man.
Right.
So that's something that when you buy a fiberglass skiff, you got a couple options, great options. You never steer wrong by picking any of them. But if you really wanted to get something custom and do something crazy, aluminum's where you're at, man.
You're right.
You can do it all as long as you know a guy that does design, which is me, but I'm also the fabricator. So now you don't have to talk to two people. So
Right. Just
I think
one
that's
man.
something that, yeah, one man band. I think
Right.
that's something that flagship companies, I wouldn't say missing. They just don't offer that, right? Because it's
Right.
fiberglass. You got to build a mold. You're locked down on that mold design. That's it, right?
Right.
So I think that's just a really, that's a selling point for me. I love being able to customize stuff. I love being able to just say, hey, you got these hatches here. What if we did a huge hatch here and then three small ones here? And maybe this one's a live well. Maybe this one's, has pole storage. And maybe this one actually has custom hangers for an oar or a hanger or a basket for an anchor, that type of stuff. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's pretty cool, dude.
People
And
want that stuff.
it's like you call any boat company now. Like I dealt with it when I would call up to like Skeeter or something like that. You got to talk to a robot and then click a number and
Yeah.
go through all those channels. And
I'm not that big yet, but maybe one
right,
day,
and
man.
it's like there are days where I wish I was like, God, just put me on the phone with somebody. So it's like that. What's awesome is like they call straight to you and you can tell them anything you need. That's
Mhm.
unbelievable. But
Yeah. I mean, they've got it figured out. Mass producing boats, there's a little bit of a disconnect probably there. You get a mass produced boat, you have mass produced quality issues. Me being a one man band, pretty much, I'm able to touch and feel everything I do. I won't let anything leave that I think is a problem. I build the boats. I'm the quality inspector. I know exactly what I want to see and what I would buy. I've got OCD. I won't let anything leave that has an issue. And I will spend hours trying to fix it if it does, or figure out a better way to do it, right? A lot of custom design, you do something and you're just like, man, that kind of looks like shit, or that isn't quite right. How can I fix it? And that's the type of thing that I love to do as an engineer, as a boat builder, this, that, and the other. So I guess if you chose Macuch Craft, is my little sales pitch. If you chose Macuch Craft, you would get that level of personal connectivity, right? I would connect you on a personal level. I want to be your friend more than I want to sell you some shit. Even if you don't buy a boat from me, you know, I'm not going to be pissed, right? I'm going to be
Right.
supportive. Whatever you buy doesn't matter, right? I want you to buy a boat from me, but I also want you to be happy. So
Right.
I don't know if big companies really give you that level of personal
I
relationship.
completely agree, and I think that's something that those big companies lack. Is it's like you go to a boat, you go to three different boat dealerships. It's like some of them are gonna talk down about another boat company and try and persuade somebody to go and buy that certain boat. It's like you go to a Tidewater dealership or something like that, and they're going to tell you that Sportsman's you want to go with the Tidewater because Sportsman yada yada yada, and they'll try and
Yeah,
do that
yeah.
whole. And that's
Well,
that's a
that's only
nice
because they're all selling the same boat, man.
exactly exactly,
I
dude.
now I'm talking down on them. Now I'm doing the same fucking thing.
Nah,
So,
dude. You're not those because it's like it is, but you're right, dude. It's like, and when you hear some of this stuff though, it's like where they're built in the same factory. It's like the same mold, and they just slap a
mm-hmm.
different name on some of them, And you hear
Yeah, it
about
happens,
that a
man.
decent amount, but that like I think I see a lot of those smaller skiff companies that have that personal attachment, and you can do all that stuff. It's that you got your mold right there. Not really your mold, but you can do it and add whatever you want and make it
Mm-hmm.
as unique as you want, which is awesome. But what
Yeah,
kind of
the
speeds
best
have you
part
been?
is,
Oh, sorry about that. I cut you
no,
off.
the best part is when you call me, you get me on the phone, and
Right.
I'm probably mid building your boat, so you don't have to deal with
That's what's
anybody
sweet.
else, right?
Right.
Um,
How many boats are you building at a time these days?
we're getting up to 3,
That's
so
pretty good.
running out of space. Running out of space, but with the rotisserie fixture, I don't have to have. So previously, you build a boat, you got to flip it, right? You got to weld the whole seam. You got to have space to flip it. Now with a rotisserie fixture, it's all in one spot, so you just 360 it literally in the same footprint.
Yeah.
Worst case, I roll it out the garage door and shuffle boats around, and if I need to get one to paint or something like that, that's the worst case. But we're going to be building a 20-foot and a 16-foot pretty soon. We're mid process on a 17 and a half, which is the Enterprise 17, which is the one I was showing you pictures of. That was kind of our flagship. But yeah, it's going to be a lot pretty soon. It's going to be fun.
That's cool though, dude. Seeing that progress.
Yeah, it is, man. It is cool, and everyone the skiff community is so supportive. You'd be surprised. I know we talked about big companies and how they're kind of just robots and this, that, and the other, but the small handmade skiff community, the people I meet at these shows, haven't been to a lot of shows. I'm going to one tomorrow, but the people I meet at these shows, the people I meet on Instagram, it's a huge network area for me. I mean, TikTok are just so fucking supportive, right?
Oh
Even
yeah.
if we're technically competitors, it's just like, man,
Dude.
let's just all build a badass boat and just all be successful. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. I feel like a lot of the fishing community is like that, but there is like a whole nother side of the fishing community that is very like cutthroat. But it's like when
Mm-hmm.
you got that good group of guys that wants to see each other win and stuff like that, you get that tight knit group. It's like there are a couple people you're gonna have that in every industry. But yeah,
Not me. I'm gonna try my best not to talk trash about anybody unless they talk shit about me, because that's just not constructive.
that's kind of
You
how
know.
I am too. If somebody crosses me wrong, um, That's really the only. You got to cross me really wrong if I'm
Yeah,
talking smack.
usually I'll just wish them luck. I mean, I
Yes.
know what I'm doing, and I know my product speaks for me, so I really don't have to defend myself. Um, but there's me getting defensive already. So,
But what kind of speeds are you seeing out of your boats with a full load?
so there's a lot of variation with that. You can choose different props. You can have lifting strakes on the bottom of your hull. You can do um, a 4 blade, 3 blade prop. It's really a lot of prop. You know you've got these hulls are rated up to 90. I've never put a 90 on one because I can't afford one, but I'm hoping one customer comes by and is like, yeah, put a 90 SHO on this bad boy, right? Because that'd be badass. I would fucking jump on that. But 70 horsepower, great motor with the crappy Yamaha aluminum prop 3 blade that comes with it. Your starter blade, 35, 38
That's pretty good.
with no lifting strakes. It's pretty good. It's gets out of the hull like a snap. The pods actually help you. They almost act like trim tabs. So if you imagine the boat sitting like that, the motor's pushing up, but those pods actually help it push up by supplying a moment arm right behind that prop, right? It gets you right
Right.
up on plane, snaps you up. That's why most flat boats have trim tabs. They don't need trim tabs. They're a lot smaller than a boat that would need trim tabs. Like a boat that's going offshore needs trim tabs, right? Because you've got
Right.
seas, you've got current, that type of stuff. The trim tabs are really for popping up on plane when you're on the flats, when you're in really shallow water and you need to just get up on step, right?
Right.
So that helps a lot. I've been we're going to be adding probably lifting strakes to more holes going forward and see what those do. It's a little bit of experimentation right now, seeing what works, what doesn't work. We've got a jack plate on the one I was showing you that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can jack it up 4 or 5 inches, zero boat in the water when you're on plane.
What kind of jack
We're
you
going to
got
be,
on it?
it's Atlas,
Yeah, the
so top of
Bob's
the line.
machine. Yeah, the Bob's
No,
machine.
Atlas.
Shoot, who makes
Atlas
it?
jack plates. Bob
Oh,
Machine is the competitor.
yeah. Shoot, who makes
TH
that?
Marine.
Yeah, TH makes that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
damn. I
Top
have
of the
no
line.
idea how that escaped my head, dude. Being in the bass fishing industry for so long.
No big deal, dude. But that brings me to another point. So the components that we use to build these boats, TH Marine, Atlas jack plate, you don't have to service it. It's UHMW on aluminum. You don't have to lubricate it. You don't even have to look at it again, right? You just have to give it power. It goes up and down forever. The components we use on these boats are top of the line, name brand everything: Atwood, Blue Seas, Uflex, Atlas, Black Oak LED for the cabin accent lights, and then the gigging lights. We actually did gigging lights on a boat that mounted under the skirt and then shown out into the water, which is really sweet. But we'll spend more money on that stuff, and I will make less money because, like I said earlier, I don't want you to call me with a problem. I want you to call me for another boat. I want to put the top of the line shit on your boat and you fucking love it and don't have any warranty claims. I don't want to put the Chinese bullshit on there that's cheap and it says 316 stainless, but who knows what it's made of. I don't
Yeah, who
want to do
knows
that.
what
I
it
don't want
is?
I don't want rusty hardware. I don't want broken components. Even down to the wiring, I use 14 gauge 14 gauge Anchor wiring. So 14 gauge throughout, that's a lot thicker than most people use. The Anchor wiring has a double wall insulation, so it's a lot thicker. I grommet every through pass through hole in the boat. It's a Coast Guard regulation. I do it because of that, and I do it because it's supposed to be done. But then, have the nice wiring, the nice terminals, the heat shrink with the actual epoxy inside of them that shrinks and seals the connections. Just those little things make this a world of difference.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so happy to put them on people's boats because I know that I would do it to mine and I'd be able to stand by them, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. How shallow are you seeing them draft?
uh, so 3 people and a dog, we were in less than 8,
That's pretty good.
which is insane.
That's
And
insane.
it was like 800-pound hull, 250-pound motor, maybe 100 pounds of gear, 3 people and a dog. You do the math. What is that? 2,000 pounds,
Yeah.
1,800 pounds drafting in less than 8. And I've got videos on my Instagram of us polling, and it looks like, you can see the bottom. It's insane.
Dude,
And dude, that was
I saw that video. I was like, damn, dude, that's pretty cool.
it's easy to pull. It pulls straight. Has a little bit of weight on it when you have that many people and a fucking fat dog on there, but you can still have fun, right? We were all fishing. I was flying the drone. The dog was having a good time, and plenty of room, plenty of deck space. The front deck's 6 foot by 6 foot. That's massive. The rear deck is 48 inches. And then you have the pods, which are actual extensions. So you can walk out on the pods, fish next to the polling platform. Then you got a buddy on the polling platform. You can walk on the actual catwalks is what I call them on the top of the gunnels. Those are about 14 inches wide. So your deck space is maximized to the nines, right? So you can put, I rate them for 3 people because I have to be legal. I'm not going to tell you can put 5 on them. Above 5, I think I'm in the commercial realm, and there's a lot more rules with that, but you do whatever you want, really.
Right.
And don't tell anybody. I guess I just told everybody I said that. But
You're good.
I rate them for a certain amount. This boat can handle a lot more, so don't worry about it.
Hey, what's nice about having those pods back there, dude, is you could step out there and hold on to the polling platform
And
base and take a piss, dude. I was looking at that.
Yeah.
I was like,
Is that what
damn,
you're
dude.
gonna say?
I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, that is perfect for taking a piss back there, dude.
That's exactly what I thought when I first did that. I was like, man, this is awesome because I can stabilize, and I'm just like, you know how hard that is on a boat,
dude. It's so
in
hard,
the ocean?
dude. And it's even hard on a bass boat, dude. Like if you got power poles, dude, it's hard leaning up on that. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I just lean up on my power pole. I'm like, dude, no, you got to balance yourself. Dude, like me that is horrible with balance. I'm like, dude, I'm not balancing. I want to get on. I saw that. I was like, dude, that is perfect. I just step down
That's
onto the
hilarious.
pod and hang onto the base of the damn polling platform and let it ride, Claude.
Yeah,
But,
no, that's not why I put them there, but that's definitely a use.
oh yeah. But what fisheries have you brought the 17 to, and how did it handle in different conditions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've got a lot of details on that. So a lot of the fisheries that I've gone to, I've gone to lakes. We do Clarks Hill Lake in Augusta, Savannah River. Right here, it runs through Augusta below the dam. Let me talk about those lakes first. So those lakes and river, the river's great. The river's got a lot of current. It's really cold. It's never too crowded. It's really swampy, but you draft shallow. You have a strong hull. Really nothing to worry about. The lake gets really choppy and windy, so a lot of people are concerned with spray. They're concerned with how does an aluminum boat handle? Does it beat you to death when it's going across the water? And a lot of them do. A lot of aluminum boats, if you've ever been on one, will beat the fuck out of you because that bow will slap, right? It'll just slap the water. It'll slap every wave. It just sucks. And part of that is because most aluminum boats are really flat bottom. A lot of aluminum boats are duck boat style boats. Those are notoriously flat bottom because they're duck boats. They're supposed to be flat bottom. They're supposed to go out into the swamps, be real shallow, and just be that type of boat, right? So what we do to counteract that is our hull geometry, right? So we go from a 10 degrees dead rise at the transom, and I call it a variable dead rise hull, 10 degrees at the transom to a 16 degree at the keel, which helps you when you're talking about choppy waves, 1-2 foot seas. Anything above that, you're probably not going to be out there. I mean, even that's pretty high, but it helps take that wave and just gradually part it, and it parts it outwards, right? It doesn't slap, it doesn't slam. It takes that wave and just parts it. And then you get out to the chines, and the chines right at the front of the boat are about 6-7 inches. They're huge. You look at them and you're like, man, what the fuck is the purpose of that? Why would I have that much chine on the front of a boat, right? You really want to see reverse chine on the rear of a boat. And they're reverse chines. Let me make sure that's clear. The reverse chines are basically you've got the hull of a boat, and then your chines are what's on the outside. Reverse chines the hull goes up, and reverse chines go down, and that helps with stability. That helps when turning. They actually act like, I call them, they act like thrusters. So they'll take the actual water coming off the boat and reverse it. And when you turn a boat, the boat kind of tips up sideways like that. Reverse chine will help you stabilize that so you're not as aggressively turning, right? You're actually stuck on the water. You don't plane out. You won't turn up so high that you actually skip out and go into the weeds. Issue with flat bottom boats, if you turn too hard, you'll just lose traction and you'll just go across
Yeah.
the water, right?
Blows
Sideways.
out.
Yeah. So I think that part of that happens because you get up so high. Now your keel's out of the water. Now where's the boat going to go? It's just going to go, right? So reverse chines, and the front, like I was saying, back to that, they're 6 inches, 6-7 inches reversed. So those are my spray rails. And a lot of poling skiffs, you'll see spray rails incorporated to the actual side of the boat, and they look super good because they're the actual technical poling skiff design. My boat's designed as like the Swiss Army knife, good for every type of water, but I still wanted to get that spray down. So right at the front, that spray coming off the keel, reverse straight back into the water. Those 6-inch spray rails catch it all. Then when you go up the hull, you've got probably about 4 inches overhung of the rub rail, the shrunk 1/8 inch piece of angle I was talking about. That catches what's left. The worst you'll see is maybe a little bit of spray in the worst, windiest conditions. And if we're talking straight on headwind, like, or, directly almost at the front, I mean, any boat, you'll get a little bit of spray, right?
Right, exactly.
Especially if you're going 40 miles an hour through the chop, which I don't slow down for shit.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Dude, when I had my bass boat, I was always told when you're running in rough water, no matter what boat you're in, when you're hitting waves like that, when it's blowing in your face, don't let out of the throttle. If you're catching air and you come down and you're not on the throttle, it's just dipping and you're spearing your next wave. Yeah, that's how I've always been too.
Yeah, we skip across the top of the water. So the boat, dude, I wish I could get you out in this boat. It's incredible how well it rides, but it stays right on top of the waves. Depending on the interval, obviously if the waves are irregular, if there's a lot of space in between them, it won't do that. But regular old open channel, we do a lot of fishing on the Stono River, Wapoo Creek area. Those channels get really rough. There's a lot of big Vikings. There's a lot of big yellow fins that go through there. Big boats, really choppy sometimes. But if you're able to just fucking send it through that type of stuff and get back to the dock and stay dry, I mean, who wouldn't buy that type of boat, right?
Exactly.
I wish I could get you out on it, because the first time I put this hull design in the water, a lot of thought went into it. A lot of thought about what we just discussed right now, but the first time I put it in the water, it was just like, wow. I didn't know an aluminum boat could be this smooth, this silent, this stable feeling, this dry, and ride this well. Yeah, that's it's just something else, man.
It's crazy because, like you said, dude, like every other aluminum that I've heard, like it's like I'm out here on Lake Norman, you can hear them coming from a mile away because all you hear is bong, 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 bong.
Yeah, they slap.
Dude, they slap, dude, and that's crazy how yours. Like I thought that was just an aluminum boat thing that all of them did.
It has to do with weight distribution. So if you look back at let me share one more time so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. If you look back at this picture I was showing you here, you see almost how dead level the deck is. It's a little bit up.
Oh yeah,
that's because I designed it so when you're actually fishing up here, that levels itself out. But you see how level it is? That's because the weight, the center of gravity, is perfectly distributed. So the center of gravity for an actual planing hull needs to be 1/3 of the length up the hull. So right around where the driver sits, right here. 1/3 up the length of the vessel, typical planing hull, right? A lot of bass boats and other boats, they'll put a lot of weight in the back because you can get up on plane faster, and I think you can get higher top speeds with a higher horsepower motor if you have more of your weight in the back, right? Because you want to ride on your step back here. You want to ride on your keel pad back here or whatever you've got designed into your hull. You don't want to have your bow in the water. So they'll make the bow the lightest part, which gives you slap because you'll be slapping. There's no weight up here. There's nothing to keep this keel planted when you're actually parting the waves. You'll slap, right? There's nothing to it. And then, if you're way up out of the water and you don't even have your keel in the water, now you're slapping center boat. It's just the way it is. And, like I said, strength to weight ratio, aluminum boats are typically lighter. You don't have a lot of mass up there that's helping you. So you'll get that slap. But what I've done here is I've actually analyzed all the weights of these different components in the computer. And I do this pretty much per any customer's boat, depending on what they want, whether they want a trolling motor in the front or batteries in the front or batteries in the back or 25-gallon fuel tank or a center console that's actually bigger or whatever they want. I'll adjust the center of gravity to be right in this spot so that you will have the best ride and we'll have the best all-around boat. It'll still plane perfectly. And when you're poling, a big thing about poling is you want the boat to be level, because if you had too much ass weight, you're going to have somebody back here on the platform, right? And if you're already
Right.
sagging your ass, guess what? Your draft is now a couple inches higher than it would be if your weight was perfectly distributed. So that's just one aspect that I also think lends itself to having just a smoother ride that doesn't slap or do anything like that.
Right.
I've thought about. I think you can tell. I've thought about every
That's what.
small detail, and like I said, I've got OCD, and I hardly sleep when I just think. That's all I do.
Yeah, dude, that's good though. I mean, that's how every person that builds boats should be. I mean, dude, that front, like, I was just looking at the front deck up there too, dude. That thing's a fucking battleship. That thing is
Massive
it's
deck. Yeah.
freaking massive front deck up there. But,
Yeah, so you spend most of your time. So yeah, make it big.
oh yeah, dude, exactly. And dude, like, I like that sea deck up there too, man. I mean, that stuff's so good on your feet too.
It does. It quiets down vibrations in the hull as well.
Yeah,
Any tremors or vibrations you get in the aluminum, it'll deaden that pretty much.
damn. What's the biggest fish you've put in the boat so far?
It's kind of been winter, so not a lot of big ones, but we have been doing a lot of winter redfish. So I've just been doing a lot of filming, a lot of marketing, a lot of fishing, just because we're out there doing filming. But winter redfish are kind of hard to pin down. They aren't really in the flats so much. They're still there, but they're not always there. You
Right.
kind of got to find them it's just the weirdest spots, like around a corner on top of an oyster bed near the bank. If you see like porpoises or dolphin, um, splashing around, having a good time, they're probably eating redfish. So we've been doing a lot of winter reds. We've done a lot of smaller winter reds, but still super fun. It's like hunting, right?
Oh yeah.
You find them. You don't have to track them per se, but you know where their typical spots are, and you know what type of bait they like to eat. And then you just go after them. You have a good day. If you know where you're going to go and you know you're going to catch fish, I mean, that's going to be a pretty good day.
Oh
When you
yeah.
get that big one, it's an even better day.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's we're going to be getting a lot of reds this summer. I think this boat is built for the flats, and there's a lot of good flats on the Stono River and down in that Wapu Creek area. Um, it's going to be endless
Yeah,
fun.
dude. That
Follow my
that is gonna
Instagram.
be
I'm going to
endless
post them
fun,
all.
dude.
Yeah.
Shoot, I had another question. Just trying to think. You got any crazy trips planned? Like taking it down to Florida, like the Keys or something like that?
Have you heard of the guy Missile vs. Boats?
I have not.
He's a guy that kind of reached out to me. Um, he does like boat reviews on TikTok and Instagram. Really cool guy. We had a few conversations together, and I think I'm planning a trip to see him down in where does he live? Central Florida, below Jacksonville. I forget the name of his town, but he's got a bunch of waterways down there. We're gonna take it down there, have some fun, do some filming,
Yeah.
do some boat reviews,
Is it Amelia
just
Island?
have a good time.
Right there,
No, it's
below? No.
something I've never heard of. It's like
Huh.
Mount or something. Mount,
Interesting.
right? It's like an hour and a half below Jacksonville. Hundreds of towns
Yeah.
down there, but Central
Oh
Florida,
yeah. Damn. That's crazy.
right below Ocala, I believe.
I used to live right there in Ocala.
Nice. You do horse stuff?
No. I worked for the Villages.
Oh, okay.
You ever heard of the Villages?
Uh-uh.
The big retirement community? Do a quick Google search on them whenever we get done here, dude. Wild stories. I could have a podcast in
Oh, is
itself.
those
Yeah,
videos
dude.
I see of those old people like ramming golf carts into each other?
Yes, that is the exact community. The one where it was like the drill team and that person got thrown out of the golf cart. It went around TikTok and got
That's
viral.
nuts.
Dude, crazy. Yeah, I worked for the Villages and it is wild, dude.
How'd you get that job?
My original major in college was Parks and Recreation, and
Cool.
I no longer work in Parks and Recreation because it's either youth sports or old people, and I didn't want to get bitched at by youth sports parents, and I didn't want to get bitched at by old people. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Trump's shutting all that shit down too, isn't he?
oh yeah, he is. Thank God.
A lot
But
of inefficiencies, I'd imagine.
oh yeah, dude. Oof. Yeah, but I think you answered my next question already. The plans to expand over and under 16 and
Mm-hmm.
17.
17 foot. So let me share a picture of our actual, just for your viewers, the actual 16-foot design, which I think is it's going to be a really cool one. So this is the classic polling skiff design. So if you look at this, it's got the big spray rail incorporated. It's got the whole design of a classic polling skiff. It's a 16-footer designed for a tiller. Big storage hatch in the front mounted fuel tank. This is pretty close to getting prototype now, but that's coming. We do have a 20-footer that is going to pretty much be this boat, but stretched. I'll probably stretch this, 3 feet in the middle. I'll do a full size center console. We might do a pad hull, so we might do a step pad hull so we can actually get some speeds on it. We'll put a 115 on the back, pad hull. Maybe we'll hit 60 miles an hour.
That'd be
I can only
sweet.
hope. I know people love fast boats. I think that would
Oh yeah,
sell
dude, that would
quick. But
100% sell, especially for those guys that are like red drum tournament fishermen. Oh shit, red drum tournament fishermen and stuff like that. That was definitely a picture that my girlfriend that wanted to hang on the wall, and I haven't done it yet.
yeah,
But
you're seeing which page are you seeing? Oh, I wasn't even sharing the page I was actually talking about. Jesus Christ, this whole software is weird. Hold on. Let me show you the actual video. You didn't see the slideshow of the 16 hole, did you?
not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. This
That was
is a
so.
confusing software program.
I'm
This is the one I was talking about.
I'm cooked if that picture just broke.
And now it won't even let me look at it. That sucks. Anyway, this is it down here. You can see the spray rail I was talking about with the tiller motor, big storage hatch. So,
that's pretty sweet though, dude. I bet a lot of those. I know a buddy that lives down in Florida that's a guide in Cedar Key Steenhatchee area, and that's all he runs is one of those tiller steer flats boats.
yeah, we're hoping
He
to get a
loves
lower
it.
price point too. So maybe around 25, 30K for boat motor trailer.
Dude, damn, that's a
Which is pretty
freaking
reasonable.
perfect price. Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
I think so. Yeah, it's going to be a nice boat. I'm going to put my best foot forward when it comes to quality and componentry, but it's going to be simpler. And simple is better. And simpler is cheaper.
I got
And everyone loves cheap. And everyone loves a really nicely built boat that's cheap. So it's going to be a no-brainer. Hopefully it's going to be bread and butter, and then the Enterprise, the big boat, and then the 20-footer, which is called the Saratoga. Hopefully those are just kind of just my fun boats that I build for fun and crazy clients that want big stuff. But I don't know if you noticed, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So the Enterprise,
cool.
the Voyager, Saratoga, those are all
Yeah,
starships.
Dude. That's freaking awesome. Dude, I like it though, dude. They're badass names too.
Yeah, they're starship names, man.
Yeah,
I grew up on Star Trek, and it just seems so natural just to call my first flagship the Enterprise, because what am I doing now? I'm going out. This is my Enterprise. This is my journey into the unknown. The final frontier is Macuch craft and what I can do with it. So let's call it the Enterprise, and then
your Captain
small
Kirk.
boat we'll call the Voyager. Yeah, my flagship. Exactly.
Yeah, you're Captain Kirk.
Kirk's cool. I'm more of a Picard guy. 1701D.
I got
1701D Enterprise. So
that's pretty cool.
I love Captain Kirk. I love Spock. I love Scotty. All them, but I think I'm a Picard guy, dude.
I got you. Dude, that's awesome. I didn't even realize they were Star Trek ship names.
Nobody has yet.
That's badass.
Nobody's noticed. And I can't wait for that one guy to be like, holy shit.
He's
Are you
like,
a Star Trek fan?
these are all Star Trek names. He gets you down a rabbit hole
Yeah.
for like 4.5 hours while ordering a boat.
Hell yeah.
But what's your best fishing story on the water?
I don't have a lot on these boats, but like I was talking about winter reds, I felt like we spent all day looking for these things, and we went out in Charleston the night before. We were, real
Oh
tired,
yeah.
real hungry. Um, Spent all day looking for them, and then we were just like, "Fuck this, let's go home." And right when we were going home, my brother was like, "Let's try this one spot." It was like the edge of a river. You wouldn't even look at it twice. It had a little bit of oysters on the shore, and it had this little like jut in where the water was coming out of the flats. It had a little area where the current wasn't, and we just casted the fly rod over there. Dude, there were like 500 redfish just right on that oyster bed, sitting there in that little low current spot, and we caught like 30 of those fucking things back to back, and we were going home, and we ended up staying there like 4 or 5 more hours
Oh,
just
dude,
catching
I
fish.
love when it's like that.
It was crazy.
Dude, I've had days
So
like
we were just
that.
ready to give up.
I've had days, similar thing, dude. It's like I'll go out wade fishing and I'll wake up like up in the mountains or something. I trout fish a lot. I'll wake up hungover as piss. I'm like, fuck, dude. I was like hiking around, dude, about yakking up my throat and end up finding fish like literally at the complete time where I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm packing up, going home, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going back to the camp to drink beer, and then you end up going on a tear for 5 hours.
Sounds like sounds
There's
like
nothing
fun.
like that.
I love those mountain streams. We had a house in Franklin, North Carolina,
Okay.
so I kind of grew up there and did a lot of trout fishing. Not the proper way. Never knew how to fly fish. I was just casting shit into the water, but we caught a lot of trout. Really ghetto way of fishing is what we did. You take a worm, you split it in half, and you take the hook and you slip the worm over the hook. Because if the worm's just on the hook, the fish is going to be able to take that off, no problem, right? But if the worm is the hook, what's it going to
He's
do?
not gonna. Yeah, he's
It's
not
going to
gonna be
eat the
able to
hook.
do anything. Damn, I'm gonna
We
start tying
figured that shit
flies
out.
like that now.
Yeah,
My
the worm
fuck,
is the hook. So, and
that's
we just
badass.
left a little bit of worm off the barb of the hook, right? So it's still wiggle. I mean, it was just like little kids doing some ghetto shit. We didn't have much gear, but it
Hey,
was fun. And those streams were so nice and clear, cold water.
oh yeah. Well,
Great time.
dude, I think that's about all I got for you today, man.
Cool, man.
Well, what show are
Yeah,
you going to tomorrow?
we're going to the Cast and Drafts event. It's like it's a free oyster roast and fly tying event down in Seabreeze Marina down in Charleston.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I got the boat. I got some free hats. I got some flyers. The usual salesman crap. So we'll see how it goes. A lot of drunk people. The Seaweed Festival is going on this
Yeah, I was
weekend,
gonna
so there'll
say
be a
seaweed's
lot of
down
drunk
there.
people.
There's gonna be a
I
shitload,
won't be
dude.
drinking that much, but maybe I'll have a few.
Dude, I wanted to go down to Seawee so bad this weekend, and I was like, you know what?
I've
That's
never
like,
been. Is it cool?
it's pretty cool, dude. You got like, so what's cool about Seawee, dude, is there are a lot of the other like bigger companies. There's another event going on this week, but it's not like really fishing oriented. It's more turkey hunting.
Cool.
The NWTF festival's going on right now in Nashville, and like your Real Tree, all your companies like that will go to the NWTF event, and most of the fishing companies, fly fishing companies, will go to Seawee. And damn, I didn't even know they had that cast and draft thing. I probably would have gone down there.
Yeah, follow them on Instagram, Cast and Drafts. I think they do have something every, bi-monthly, every other month.
That's pretty sweet, dude.
Um, yeah, my first event. So,
Yeah, dude,
yep.
I did my first show a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't bad. It was a bass fishing show. I had more business being on the moon, but it was still fun. Ended up ended
Yeah.
up ended up uh ended up drinking 14 beers the Friday night at like Chili's with a bunch of dudes that were that were vendors and stuff like that, and
At Chili's.
At Chili's. And
That's hilarious.
then freaking then went back and drank some Coors Banquet and ended up, I woke up, got myself a coffee. I was like, all right, I'm ready for the day. It's like, I have no
I
idea
wish I
how
could do
I'm
that,
not
man.
hungover, but
That would have put me down for days.
but dude, thank you for coming on the show, man. It was awesome to have you.
Yeah, dude,
Very,
thanks for
very
reaching
good.
out. This was fun.
No
Thanks for
problem,
letting me
man.
ramble. I know
Hey,
it's a lot of words I said
no
today.
problem. No problem, man. And next, dude, if you're ever up here around William, let me know, man. We'll all go out and grab a beer or something like that.
I think we're planning a trip to Martha's Vineyard, which is where my wife's from. But on the way back, I think we might crash at William's house.
Yeah, dude, let me
Cut the
know if you
drive a
do.
little short. So yeah, I'll hit
Yeah,
you up.
Martha's Vineyard. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
That'll
yeah,
be real
it's
fun.
pretty fun. Big
But
tourist trap in the summer,
oh,
but pretty
hell
fun
yeah, dude! I
nonetheless.
grew up in New England, so I know all about that tourist trap. But
It's fun.
dude, once again, man, thank you. I'm gonna link your website and all that. Thank you guys for
Great.
listening today. Go and check out Macuch Craft and hit this man up for a boat. Clearly puts in all everything he can into the boat. So if you're in the market for a new flats boat, hit him up. But
Thanks, guys. See you later.
see you later, man. That was Louis Macuch with Macuch Craft. Before we end this show, we got another question. Let me see what this question is, and then we'll end it out. But damn, what a cool episode! I'm not a huge engineering science guy and didn't know what all went into building a boat, but there it is, man. I mean, so much detail. What awesome stuff. But let's see what this question was. Here we go. So what is your favorite species to fish for, and what is my go-to setup? I'm gonna break this question up into two parts. Freshwater, my favorite species to fish for. Like I've said before, is hold on, I'm about to sneeze. False alarm. Wait, we might have not false alarm. All right, but like I've said before, I used to bass fish a lot. Kind of started bass fishing with a fly rod in middle school, high school area. But my favorite freshwater fish to fish for on a fly is trout, and my go-to setup for that. I got my favorite setup. I should say I got like four setups. I have a 5 weight, a longer four for like high sticking and stuff like that, and then I have a small 4 weight, and that would be an LL Bean Streamlight, and that is paired with an Orvis Clearwater reel with some Orvis floating line. So that's probably my go-to setup for for freshwater. Saltwater, my favorite species to fish for are micro tarpon down in like Florida and stuff like that at the Mosquito Lagoon. And so those are my favorite. That I catch a little micro tarpon on a 8 weight, yeah, it's an 8 weight. It's an 8 weight Reddington Path reel. The 8 weight Reddington Path rod with a Reddington Path reel. It's a combo. Bought it at Sodium Fishing in Crystal River, Florida. But that's really the end of our episode. Shout out to Louis for coming on. What a great episode. And if anyone wants to hear more questions answered in these podcast episodes, drop them in my DMs on Instagram, send an email. I'm getting a speak pipe up on the uh, up on the link tree. Go to speak pipe and drop some questions in there. But lastly, thank God the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl. I'm neither a fan of the Chiefs or the Eagles, but it was beautiful to see the Chiefs lose. So we can all cheer because of that. But thank you guys for listening today. I'm gonna link all Lewis's links in the podcast bio and the notes and all that stuff. But till next week, we got a trout guide coming on next week. Not gonna go on and drop the name, but they're out of New Mexico. So tune back in next week. But until then, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your evening and a great weekend.